button, or in fact, you know what? Just go ahead and hit celebrate, applause, because I'm very excited about our guest today. Of course, I've got my co-host Leah's with me today. We have a very special guest that I'm about to announce in just a moment. As you are logging in, go ahead and let us know where you're signing in from today. We'd love to hear and see where you're signing in from. And if you can, let us know that you can see and hear us as well, if you don't mind. The first couple of folks to comment, please let us know that the sound is coming through okay. What I'm going to do right now is just make sure that I can go ahead and tag us all in this discussion here. So just a moment as I do that. Again, once again, just go ahead and put your where you're signing in from, and let us know that you can see us and hear us, and I'll be able to see that in just a moment. And as you like the discussion, that's great, but if you comment, it's better, because that way we can actually see you during the broadcast that you actually are with us. There we go. Turn your volume down just a little bit. Yeah, good. Okay, I'm just going to take this and tag us in. All right, Joe says she can see us and hear us. Awesome. Oh, wow. I had yesterday's guest on here, so I'm so glad I went in here. That's not good.
Well, if it's a fiasco, then we can blame them.
Oh, goodness. No, it was good. Today's good, too. Save here. Oh, good. We got Wesley's in today. Awesome. Good to see you, Wesley. Okay, I'm just going to copy and paste this into the event where people had actually confirmed. Make sure that they also know that we have started. I just tagged you in, Ann, as well as you, Leah.
Okay. Should I go in and share it real quick?
If you like.
All right.
Okay, I just hit the post button. Guys, if you're just now signing in, go ahead and hit that applause button for us. And we're really excited about today's guest. Let us know where you're signing in from today. We'd love to see where you're coming from. We're actually signing in from Houston today. We're all in the same city, but we're not in the same place. We're definitely socially distant right now. What part of the world are you in today, Ann?
I'm in Houston.
You're in Houston. I think it's in the more of the kind of the west part of Houston, right? And then
I'm in the Memorial City area. Yep.
Okay, and I'm up in North Houston, and Leah, you're north of Houston, right? North.
Yeah, I'm Woodlands. Yep.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. Well, listen, I'm really excited about today's guest. We have a vice president from Memorial Hermann Healthcare here in Houston. And so I'm really excited about having you and your organization represented today, and really learning about some of the things that you have done since COVID's happened. And it's a lot has happened in the past 6 to 9 months, wouldn't you say?
It has been incredible.
Yeah. So welcome to the show.
An incredible opportunity to learn. Thank you. I'm excited to be here.
Awesome.
That's a good way to put it. Yeah.
Absolutely. Let me close this out and make sure I'm able to see all the comments as they come in. So we've got also Noelle. She says, happy Tuesday, everyone. We have Patty Witt from Hazel Green, Alabama. She can see us and hear us. Of course, Noelle's from Boston. We got Wesley from New York City. We have Philippia. She says hello. We have Marie from Virginia. Joe from McKinney. Folks are all over the United States. And we'll see if we get some international folks coming in as well. All right. So to get us started, let's start with this. And first of all, what are some of the things that you have seen, the biggest changes you've seen since COVID has come upon us? And let's kind of unpack that as we go along, especially as it relates to talent acquisition.
Well, I'm going to say the biggest change I've seen has been a positive change, and it is how fast we can get things done when we need to. So I think about all the things that we have done from an HR perspective in the organization in 3 months that probably would have, had this not happened, we still wouldn't have gotten them done with a year. And so it was really, I think, changed the way we've had to think about how fast we can react and implement and say it has to be 80% there, let's go, and just be a lot more agile in tackling everything that COVID brought. So, I don't think any of us really knew what to expect with COVID. And then, we learned, I think, the first round, I'll say, of COVID, we were ready for, stage 4 and never got past stage 1.
Right.
And so then it was like, and we, you were doing everything. You were anticipating the worst case scenario for every possible thing. And then we hit this lull, and then you think you're okay, we're climbing out of it, and then bam, we went underwater fast, and I think then figuring, so the good news was we had thought through a lot of things. The bad news was I don't think we thought we were going to have to implement them. And so, you kind of come back and then you have to think through things. But COVID, again, another positive, I think, has changed how we work. And for many of us who didn't have the opportunity to work from home based on the type of roles we did, now have that opportunity. And it's changed the organizational perspective, because I've always been a proponent of teleworking, but I've worked in healthcare has been slow to adopt that practice. And you deal with a lot of skepticism about, do people really work? And now the biggest skeptics are now the biggest proponents. It's interesting to watch how that has done a complete 180. So from that perspective, it is nice now to think about how we can work much differently. I think COVID, combined with the impact it's had worldwide, like with school and parents. I think that has been probably another thing that came more as we all thought by August, oh, for sure, all the kids are going to go back to school.
Right.
And then as we got closer, it was like, they're not, and so many, the majority of nurses are female. A big chunk of those females have children, and it's really trying to, I think the other thing, again, a positive, but things I'm planning for is it's really brought to light how much we have to value the work-life balance for people, because, parents have it so tough right now, trying, especially when we're having to do the educating your kids at home and trying to work full time. It really has taught us so much about flexibility, but it's also taught us that people have to make those hard decisions. Family comes first. And we've seen, for us personally, we've had our highest turnover in August, because I think so many people have had to make that choice of, I have to homeschool my children, or they're only working half schedules, and I just can't balance it out right now.
Right.
And so, again, not something we anticipated, because we have so much flexibility in healthcare, but it has been an outcome of COVID.
Do you feel like the lull was kind of a disadvantage for you, that you did so much preparation, then there was a lull, then it came later? Did it catch you flat-footed, or how do you feel do you think the lull helped you?
I think, well, at the time you didn't know it was a lull, so it was one of these things where you just kept anticipating, and you were racing to stay ahead of it and doing all sorts of crazy things. But I think we spent a lot of time putting things in place to fruition. And so then everybody's exhausted, like you almost used up all your horsepower that first round, and then people are tired, they were working crazy hours, and then, there's this lull and everybody thinks, okay, and then it comes back again. So I think the lull, even though, like I said, we didn't feel the lull, having that second wave come around really took a toll, I think, on people, as far as just, again, overall balance, and wondering, are we going to go through the same efforts again? And is it going to not materialize? So it's not like you don't want it to materialize, but at the same time, you want to feel like we have all these plans in place. Let's put them into action. So it was that balancing.
So, Anne, during ASHRA, I saw that Carol Hackett shared this really interesting graph that was put together by the CHROs of the Texas Medical Center, and it showed that initial increase in COVID cases, and then what they initially thought was the spike, and then the lull, and then the massive spike that you had, that we had prepared for, quote unquote. But she talked about how it was just more than anybody could have possibly imagined, and I think that she talked a lot about learning that you really do have to stretch those ideas and really do prepare for some of the strangest circumstances. And she also mentioned how impressed she's been with all the departments in healthcare at her hospital, because, like you said, it takes years sometimes to implement changes, and when it had to be done, they were done very quickly. And how impressive that is.
It was impressive. I mean, if anything, we learned as a department and as an organization, we can do it.
Yeah.
We impose our own barriers. And so, we can definitely do these things, and we can move quickly when we absolutely need to.
Well, I think we're stuck in that analysis paralysis. Is this the best thing that we should do? Should we do it this way? And when push came to shove, we had to make decisions immediately, and they had to be the best decision with the information available at the time, and that was a big change.
Yeah, we also did things that nobody ever foresaw doing.
Right.
We had to, things like all these people who were in the hospitals that didn't have ways to stay in touch with their families, right? We found ourselves distributing iPads, buying cases of phone cords because people, things like that. Like things we were working with hotels for places for employees to stay, for patient families to stay. Besides all the staffing stuff, all the things that you got pulled into that, like I said, things that you never really would. And so I definitely look at COVID as, it was a crazy time, but from a learning perspective, you couldn't have learned more than through COVID. It was like getting a college education.
Wow.
Awesome.
Because there was so many things you had to anticipate and think through. And with not only just from a recruitment perspective, when I think of all of HR, all the wellness things you had to be putting in place, dealing with, the work-life balance, benefits, how you're going to pay people, were you furloughing people,
right?
All the things that just went into it that, you could never have just thought this, we would have to touch so many things.
Yeah. We got quite a few comments so far. So we have Noelle Coles from Boston. She says, amen. Very true, Ann. It has been incredible. Quick turnover in every aspect. And we also have Jennifer who says, absolutely, it's work-life integration at this point.
Yeah.
I guess Dallas is out the door.
I keep on seeing that. And Rollish, you mentioned it the other day. People are starting to get, quote unquote, zoomed out, right? We've been on so many calls, so many video calls, and how do we re-engage people when they're so far away, but they're still doing work for our organization? And I don't think anybody would have imagined that we would be sitting here on September 22nd, still working from our home offices. And this has become, our new environment, our new work culture. And, I think that when I think back to March and April, I thought it was just going to be a couple of months. I couldn't even imagine July being working from home. And now people are talking about how much longer is this going to last. With the flu
I don't think anybody's planning on returning before the first of the year, right? I know. And it was funny because you say that. My brother lives in San Francisco, and their climate is so different than ours. There's still all their restaurants are still closed, and my brother hasn't been outdoors, into a store since March.
Wow.
So it's so different. So for those of you in California, I think it's and maybe the West Coast, it's just a very different feel than it is in other parts of the country. But I remember when this went through, he told me, we'll be home at this time. He said, well, we're not even going back to work before July. And Microsoft announced that they're not even opening their offices back until next April. And I thought, a year? What are they, crazy? But who knew, and that's probably more the reality.
What are you hearing now, Ann, on your end? What are you hearing as far as what's the talk around Memorial Hermann and maybe outside organizations as to when you think we're going to be more back to normal? I've heard a lot of different things. I want to get your thoughts on that.
Well, I think what we've learned is don't make a plan for it because twice it's like, okay, we're all going to go back to May 1st. Then it was June 1st. Then I actually gave it July 1st, and so we kept moving it. So I think we've definitely are looking at it in bigger chunks. So we're not even talking about returning to work until January 1st. I also think we'll never go back to normal. I don't think we'll ever go back to a full week of being in the office.
Wow.
I think that has just, and again, for those of us who can, for the corporate side of things or the professional side, we don't have to. I mean, I think about, I drive by all these office buildings and think, what's going to happen? Because so many people now, I mean, when you think about
the same thing.
Yeah, like corporate real estate, I think about nobody, what these places must have to be vacant or, where people aren't going to renew their leases because it's changed the perspective of how you can work from home. Now, I do think that there is something to being together as a team. And I do think that we will definitely go into hotel spacing, so 4 people will share a workstation and everybody will have an assigned day and there will be sanitizer and spray to clean up after yourself and have a note that says, I sanitized the desk, on September 22nd for the person who shows up on September 23rd.
Right.
But I just think it is finding that balance. I think technology, of course, will continue we'll see many more enhancements in technology as far as making it capable to live and work anywhere, which is really phenomenal.
Right.
Yes.
So, I think I think COVID has brought healthcare more up to date.
The 21st century, for sure.
21st than some other, I think other organizations were already there, but I do think healthcare was one of those organizations that was completely lagging with its adoption of teleworking and things like that. So I'm glad to say now, like, we've caught up. And we're completely, supportive of it.
Those are great. I mean, that's just the comment that you said. I mean, I couldn't agree more. And I saw a statistic, and I wish I could remember which news article it was from, but that out of how many ever 1,000 people that were surveyed, 79% of the people said that they never want to go back to an office setting. That they deal with some hybrid, and I'll try to find it and post it later. But a lot of people are like, this is amazing. I actually just spent 6 weeks in Wyoming, my home state, because both my spouse and I can work from home right now, and we packed up literally our house and just left and went and rented a house there. And I don't think I could have ever imagined doing that in my entire life. And a lot of people. We met a lot of people that are doing the same thing, renting RVs, renting houses, other places, trying it out. And but one thing you said about the work-life balance, I do notice I work longer hours. And I think that that's something that a lot of people are doing, because do you live at your office or do you work at your home?
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I definitely think you have to have boundaries. And I think for people who don't have dedicated office space, I know a lot of people are thinking about, okay, now what am I going to do? Right? I can only work at the dining room table for so long.
Right.
And, and so I do know that there's a lot of people that, like, even for us, we're thinking about what type of tools do we have to send people home with, right? What should we purchase for people versus what do people need to supply themselves? Yes. And so that's the conversation now, is how do you get everybody set up so that they can work from home, but not have to have the, do we pay for their internet? Do we buy them 2 computers? Do we buy the big screen? All these, do we give them the office chair? I mean, do we furnish their office? I mean, there are all sorts of questions going on around it. I don't think we'll go to the extreme of furnishing their office, but I think there's definitely essential items. It's interesting, from a personal perspective. I mean, my husband and I are having the conversation. Do we still need 2 cars? I mean, do we really need 2 cars?
We just did that. We just traded our 2 cars for 1.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not ready to do it yet, but it's on the conversation. But I think even like from printing and all that kind of stuff, I mean,
Right.
I still am, I'm of the generation, I still like some paper, and, it's changed me. I mean, I just don't have the paper anymore. And I I try to go to my office once a week just because it actually gives me a break from the family, and a family a break from me. And I was opening my file drawers, and I'm like, what's the sense of keeping all these files? I mean, I can't access them. Why do I even need files anymore? I mean, I think our footprint can become so much smaller.
That's really interesting. Yeah.
As a just maybe our home footprint will become bigger because we maybe need a little bit more space, but our office footprint will certainly become, I think, a lot smaller.
Okay, so we got to give away a book, and we don't want to ignore the folks in the comments. They've been writing lots of stuff in while we've been talking. So Jason says aloha from Hawaii. Hi, Jason.
Hi, Jason.
And,
hey, Jason.
Patty from Alabama says, my heart goes out to all the parents with small children in school. I'm so thankful that I'm not having to homeschool my son. And Sadia from Pakistan, she's dialing in from Pakistan, which is about midnight there. So thank you, Sadia. Jennifer says, in Illinois, we had the 6-month anniversary of the stay home for 14 days to flatten the curve. Many are still home, way beyond what people expected.
Right.
And Philippia says, offering workplace flexibility by offering alternative options and locations like hotels to work is great. So that was a great point you made, Ann.
Oh, that's a great point. Yeah.
And Patty said, I've been a remote employee for 3 years. It definitely gives a company a much broader employee pool to choose from. Oh, that's something we should unpack a little bit.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Philippia says, teleworking and telemedicine are definitely the future. And Patty says, I feel that I'm much more productive working from home. I have an office in my home, and when I'm in my office, I'm at work. When I leave my office, I'm at home. So I have 2 questions for you.
That's good.
You and the folks in the comments. What is your favorite place to work in the home? And do you feel you are working more or less hours than before COVID? I want the folks in the comments to answer that, as well as, most importantly, you, Ann.
Well, I would definitely say, for me, I need my own personal space. So I always buy a house where I can have my own office. It's just my sanctuary, and I decorate it the way I want, and it is mine. No family other than my cat typically enjoy the space with me. I'm sorry, what was the second question?
Do you feel like you're working more or less hours?
I definitely feel like you're nonstop.
Yeah.
So, I feel like, we use Zoom, and I will have, because you don't have travel time built into your schedule anymore. If you had that, where you had to get out and about, I feel like it's just, you start, at 7:30 some days, and you go till 6 p.m. and you almost feel guilty. You have to just, take out your video and run to the bathroom. Thank goodness for my spouse being home, because a lot of times he'll make me lunch and bring it in. So yes. I definitely feel, I will say I feel less healthy working from home. I admire the people who have built in the workouts, and and I keep saying I'm going to do that, but I just haven't. So that's shame on me. So I do think it's easy to have a blurred line between work and non-work when you're in your home office. I mean, or in your space. I think when you have an office where you can shut the door and walk away from, it's great. But I definitely feel like I probably put in more hours, but I also feel like I probably get more done because I have so many, I have less disruptions.
Yeah.
When I have my personal time, which I have I have far less personal time here, I think, because video, I just joke that Zoom is just like having an office door. I mean, it's like you time your meetings and it keeps you on time, because when you use the same Zoom, I'll have one-on-ones with my staff, and the next one's calling in. So I'm like, okay, well then, it's time for us to wrap up, because, Bob's coming online right now. So, but you just never get a break.
Yeah.
I love that. I do. I actually like that button that close the meeting for all, because I host a lot of our Zooms, and it's such a satisfaction. Like, well, this meeting's over and it's done. And I love that. And it's a good turnoff. It's because if I was in the office, I would still be talking about the same things and not moving on to the next task. But
that's a good point. Yeah.
Those are really interesting perspectives that you have on it. And it's really nice that you're able to have your own space. That's
it is.
Is there anybody in the comments that doesn't have their own space, and what are they doing in their homes to create like a separate space? Or how are you managing if you don't have that private space where you can close a door?
That's a really good question. Yeah. So answer in the comments, guys. We want to give away a book too. So before we give away a book, I want to ask you a question. And if there was a book that you've read before that you just thought so well of it that you want to reread it again, what book would that be?
Oh, Lord. Well, this is going to sound, probably makes me so dated, but I love Good to Great. I love that book.
Yes, that's a good book.
Now they went good to great to out of business, but in some cases, Circuit City, I think, is one of those examples of a company that was great. But what I like about that book, and it's just one that I always think about. It always does a comparison of two organizations and which organization had phenomenal growth and return, and which organizations struggled due to resistance and lack of agility. And I think it's lessons learned. Now, I think it would be great to see that author do a follow-up, and maybe they have, I don't know, on what then caused those companies that were great to then fail.
Right.
But I do think it's just, always an opportunity. It just always reminds me, and I've read that book probably like 3 times. I just like the way it makes you think. Okay.
So guys, we're going to give away a book right now. And one of them is going to be the book that she just recommended, which is Good to Great. It's Jim Collins. I love that book. That was a good book. And even the principles, even though the companies may have gone to the wayside, the principles that got them there still stand true. So that'll be one of them. And then any of the other ones that we have on our list, Joe can share this with our group, either Joe or Joanne, one of those two. But anyway, we're going to give away a book. And so if you've been with us before, what we're going to do is we're going to have you put in some comments here. In the comments, you're going to spell out a word for me. Okay. I'm not going to make this super easy because we got kind of pretty big group today. So what we're going to do is we're going to use a specific word, and you have to put each letter in each comment separately, and it can't be interrupted. So you have to make sure you get in quickly. If someone interrupts you, you have to start over. Okay. So the word we're going to go with today is Miller. Go. Miller. In honor of Ann Miller.
M and I and L and
yes.
L. Okay.
Miller. Go for it. First one to hit that will win a copy of the book. Okay. Another question I wanted to ask. This is not so important right now, but it's kind of an interesting question because I want you to tell me why you go with the answer. So, aisle, middle, or window seat?
For me?
Yes.
Always a window.
Why is that?
I have to be since I can't be in control, I have to know what's happening.
Type A. Right?
I love it.
I can't drive the plane, but at least I can look out the window and know where we're going.
I love this. See, that's what I love about these questions, that things like that come out. Well, what was yours again, Lee? I don't remember what yours was.
Mine would be aisle. I used to be a window person, but the planes have like started to curve more. And if you're on a smaller plane, like you've got to like go into that curvature, and it bothers me. And then like I can't stretch my legs out. So I'm an aisle person.
Okay.
Yeah. Preferably first class aisle, but I mean,
you're a first class girl. Hey.
Yeah.
I have a question.
I did a lot of upgrades. I do, and I love it.
Yes. And you say you had a question?
Once you fly first class, it's hard to go back.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
It is at least long trips. Hey, Rollins, I have a question for the
Sure.
audience that I would love to hear is
Sure.
if your organization could give you one tool to make you better at working from home, what would you want?
Ooh.
That's great.
Okay. For that question, I appreciate that question so much. I got to give you this. Yeah, that was a great question. Okay, guys, you got to answer that one. What's going to make you better at work? What tool would you like to have at work? Boy, they were really going after it. I tell you, your name you will have never seen your name spelled out so many times. And once you see these comments,
I want to see how this game works because I didn't quite understand it. I was all ready to play.
They have to type in your name, but they have to separate it out into 6 different comments: M, then an I, then an L, L-E-R. But the key is it can't be interrupted. So if someone else interrupts them, they have to start over.
It looks like. Well, I'm going to look on my phone and see if I can figure it out. I think.
Now, while you're doing that, Leah, we had some answers to our other question about the place in the home. Let's see here.
Hey, Ross, quick question. Do we have 2 books that we can give out?
Yeah.
Okay, because Patty Witt and Jennifer Kleinhens are like going back and forth, starting over. So I think we should give them both a book. But
when they announce, sure, no problem. And then we'll announce them once we're ready. So Joe, go ahead and announce them if you don't mind whenever we are able to establish who won, and then we'll make sure and congratulate them both. Let's see, I'm gonna make sure I adjust this here. Okay, and we did get some more comments, guys. So my favorite place to work is in my office, Patty says, at my desk. I feel like I'm working more hours, but I don't have the commute time to deal with. I've been doing meal prep for lunch and exercise every day when I'm done.
Wow.
Yeah. And so Mazar also came. He says, I just joined your online session. I'm really enjoying it. Very positive and productive session. Philippia says a great suggestion I received was to move around your house and let your end of day be outside in your backyard if possible. You get your daily movement also. Never thought about that. Noelle says I created a guest bedroom in my office into an office. She changed her guest bedroom into an office. Leah, you can read your own comment if you want.
No, it's okay.
Okay.
I just put it in there.
I like it. She said, we've offered our employees a home office budget to purchase necessary items, lighting, desk, chair, computer monitor. We're also giving a monthly stipend for high-speed internet. So, yes, thank you for that. Noelle says, my husband works from home and all 4 kids are remote as well.
Oh, no.
And let's see here. Yeah, it's kind of funny doing interviews with her. I love it, though. Joe says, Joe's good to great. Okay. Philippia says, yes, I love Jim Collins. Good to great. Right people in the right seat. Oh, yeah, I forgot about that. That came from that show, that book. Mazar says, I'm a digital marketing specialist. I would love to do work in a separate cozy space.
Oh.
I'm skipping through. Okay, I'm scrolling down. Lots of comments to go through. Lots of Millers here. Okay. Mazar, is this pre-recorded or live? It's live, Mazar. Yeah, we have live captions. That's why you see it live. It's done by AI. I love it. Scroll down. We're live. I have to refresh your page. Okay, Patty says window seat because I almost always fall asleep like a toddler. I have woke up in my neighbor's shoulder before. It's funny. Okay, so it looks like Patty may have won, but she's going to give her book to Noelle if she would like it.
Oh.
And Jennifer says Joe says congrats to Jennifer. She says, we're essential, so no working from home for us. So I'm going to give a congratulations to Patty and Noelle. I think that's the one. Yeah. So congratulations to them. All right.
That's so funny.
Very good. Okay. All right. So let's go back to our discussion. Now, one of the things I did want to ask you is, what's the most positive thing you've seen come out of this that you think should definitely continue?
I just think teamwork. I just think everybody has had to pull together, and we would never have come up with all the solutions we came up with if we didn't ask everybody for their ideas. So I think that's one, right? Is really just, it took the village, and that also meant that everybody had to pull together. So going back to what I said, I think, the learning experience that everybody got from going through this is huge. And, while it was exhausting and frustrating at times, you look back and there's such a level of pride and a feeling of accomplishment for all you did. And working in human resources, I think that was the other thing, that it really helped put a positive spotlight on human resources of all the things it did to help support our employees. And, human resources, I think a lot of times is seen as the police, the people who say no, the people who put all the rules in place.
Yes.
And this took away that and said, we're here there was a lot of empathy and compassion for what everybody was dealing with. Not only, the amount of work people were having to go through, people who were sick themselves, people who had family members who became ill, dealing with all the horrific situations of what patients were going through.
Right.
Just, really made us think, how do we support our employees?
Oh, I love that.
To add to that, Ann, one thing my sister said to me last week was that he had noticed and that he's been striving to just deal with people with grace and giving people grace, that pardon for maybe a mess up, or just that deeper understanding and giving people a little bit of grace, letting them make mistakes, I know that my dogs always start barking during meetings, or if you're late to a meeting, or, with an email that's late, and just dealing with people in just a more understanding kind of way, knowing that we're all going through similar things, but our situations might be somewhat different. That was something that she said too, is that she has really loved seeing in her workplace, is that people are just handling life with a lot more grace.
Yeah. The other thing we talked about is, it's hard to take away from anybody what happened this year. Like, just how hard everybody worked. That, from an HR perspective, we always, every year when you do performance reviews, you always joke about the bell curve, and, you want people to kind of be in the middle. And this year we've already said, it's going to be through the roof how many people get high scores, and that we just need to accept that as an organization, because we can't take away what this year made people do, in working so hard, and that we want to celebrate that and not be the people that says, oh, no, team can't be a superstar. Well, this year they can. Everybody can be a superstar this year because they deserve it.
So a follow-up question to that would be, do you think that moving forward, the way we do performance reviews will change?
Go ahead. It's a conversation we have all the time.
Right. I know that there's a lot of people who don't agree with 360 reviews. There's a lot of people that don't agree with yearly reviews. They want spot on, timely feedback. For large organizations, though, that might not be possible to implement across the board. And so that's a really interesting topic to even think about, is how will we review people's performance this year?
Yeah, I think, it's always a conversation, performance. I think my last 15 years in business, I think performance has always been a conversation of, what's the right way to do it? Do you need to have a 5-star rating? Is a 3-star rating? Do you do it annually? Do you do it quarterly? However, but I do think that COVID has had to bring a level of trust to the workplace that didn't exist before.
Yes.
And therefore, I think that will change how people do deliver performance reviews for people who are, again, more in a teleworking environment now. Then, I think it will be, for the clinical worker. Again, I think that it will just be an extraordinary year for anybody who took care of patients. But I think for those of us that don't actually touch patients, I do think that trust factor, which to me has always been a question mark for so many managers, is Rollins really working? There was so much to get done, and that's where I think everybody proved themselves that they could do it, and it's sustained. It's not something that it spiked for 5 minutes because there was a lot of work and then it just crashed. We see it. And so even in the beginning, I think there was maybe a little bit more of policing, like are people, signed in, if anybody on the call has like same time or something like that, where you can see if people are working or not. I think all of that has relaxed because, again, it goes back to life is going on at the same time. And there's so many things also, we don't get to, for many of us, we don't get to focus 100% 8 hours in continuously. We've got distractions. Anybody who's has their kids who are dealing, especially with the at-home learning and all the Zoom meetings that those kids are having, and teaching the kids how to use Zoom and dealing with the questions that come up. You just have to learn to go with it, and I just think we all have to find that time that we can focus, and there's times where we just have to step away. And I think, again, the learning that has happened is that it's okay to do that, and that I saw an organization put out a letter to their management, and I thought it was such a good letter. I shared it with my organization as well, but the CHRO of that organization wrote, if you try to push your employees to pick work over family, you'll lose.
Yes.
That's it. You'll lose.
Yes.
And so, not just healthcare, many industries are having shortages of the types of workers they need. The last thing we need is people being pushed out the door because they have to make that decision. And so I think that is just something that has stuck with me, because it's like, we all know we would put our family first. And and in this case, so many people have had to do that, but they don't want to walk away. They want to make it work out. But when you force them to have to make a decision, they'll pick their family.
Yeah, absolutely. So we do have one answer back from your earlier question, and Philippia says, I think a stipend would help employees to be more productive. They can use it to purchase what can help them to be more productive.
Okay.
So that was her feedback. And I got a little bit of funny feedback because Robert says Catalina, that's his 4-year-old, keeps saying thank you every time she sees the applause.
Well, we should give Catalina her own special round of applause.
Yes,
then.
we should do that. We should let's give Catalina an applause.
Goes to Catalina.
Listens for Catalina.
Which is a fabulous name, and I wonder.
There we go.
She's gonna love it.
that was for Catalina. And then also Patty says remote employees and better hygiene are both positive things that have come from COVID. Interesting.
Does that mean I skip the shower? I don't know. I would have to argue. I think sometimes I'm a little bit maybe lazier. The nice thing about video is you can turn it off, and there are moments where I'm still in my bathroom sometimes at 10, 11 o'clock in the morning because I just haven't had a chance to go get ready.
No, I understand. Well, if you're like me,
she says that it's about washing their hands and not coughing and sneezing. Like if you're still in the office.
Gotcha. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, I thought the same thing. I was like, well, I don't know if the home hygiene any better.
Oh, my hair, I can go another day without. No one's going to see me today.
But to your point, I mean, how many times have I gotten up in the morning? The first thing I'm doing, I'm checking my email, and I'm answering emails and all this stuff. And 11 o'clock's come around, I haven't gotten dressed yet. I've done that before several times.
Oh, I've done that a lot.
Yeah. That is definitely. But you know what? It's a nice reality because that's, I think, some of the things that people have come to appreciate about not having to get ready, not having to have this professional wardrobe, and be prepared, not having to make prepare breakfast or lunch in the morning, that you can kind of like casually go to your refrigerator whenever you want.
That's true. Yeah.
There's so many great things about working from home, other than the lack of being able to actually see your colleagues is, can be sometimes a little tough.
I think my spouse saves 70 hours a month not commuting.
Yeah.
Insane. Like, what do we do with all that extra time? But
yeah.
I really do miss my colleagues. That has been a struggle for us. And we've started doing a weekly just update, and you just kind of let everybody know what you're working on. We ask if anybody needs help with their specific projects, because we're all working from all over the world right now. And it's just a time to talk and say hello, see how things are going for everyone, just a quick check-in. And I think it's been pretty helpful because I honestly, I miss, people's personalities and our conversations and that collaborative work environment for sure.
Yeah. It has definitely taught you that you have to get creative. It's funny because I never would have thought of doing video interviews with my family, but now it's, we have a Sunday gathering every other week with the family, and everybody in the family has a Zoom link. I send the Zoom link to everybody, and whoever,
I love it.
Nieces, uncles, aunts, whatever, they can everybody can join in if they're free, and it's a different group every week. But I'm like, Zoom, working with video has made me also rethink my family situation as well. I'm like, why shouldn't I just use it to connect with everybody?
We did Zoom game night with, family that we don't see as much, but we were like, hey, why don't we do this more often? This is phenomenal. And when I was home in Wyoming, my nephew asked me, he's 6, and he was like, can we do another family game night on Zoom? And I was like, well, I'm here. I'm here right now. I was like, but it's really fun on the computer.
Oh, I love that. That's hilarious.
It was so cute.
Okay, I have a question for you. Would you rather? These are would you rather. This is we like to ask these little would you rather questions here. All right, would you rather shiver when you're hot or sweat when you're cold?
You're hot.
Those are both weird.
I'd rather shiver when I'm hot. Cools me down.
Okay. Oh, hey, I didn't think about that.
I would say the other way around. I'd rather sweat when I'm. Wait.
Sweat when you're cold? Yeah. Sweat when you're cold or shiver when you're hot?
Oh, wait. No. You're right. Sweat would make me even more cold. Yeah. Shiver when I'm hot. Mm-hmm.
Okay. In the comments, let us know what you think. So Joe says, my favorite meme from COVID has been, I can't believe I used to let people breathe up all in my face. Yeah. Philippian says, I agree. Patty, agree with Patty on hygiene. People are now washing their hands properly and not sneezing and coughing in their hands. Yeah, that's true. I've seen that. And then Philippia says, performance should be done monthly or quarterly to eliminate people being caught off guard if you wait to the end of the year. What are your thoughts on that, Ann?
Well, when you do performance, especially annually, it's after the fact. So it's always a year behind. It's lagging, and usually you don't remember the first part of the year anyway, right? You only remember like the last 3 months. So
Right.
it's to me never a great indicator. Some people can have the last 3 months be super great. They can have the last 3 months not go as well as they had hoped, and it's just not reflective. I absolutely agree. I mean, to me, coaching and continual feedback should be performance, and that it shouldn't come down to let's see what we remember most about you.
Ah.
Gary Marsh from Harris Health, he did a really cool presentation for our local branch of ASHRA, the H3RA here in Houston. And they've completely revamped how they do performance reviews at Harris Health because of that. And one of the things they found was that it could have happened like exactly 8 months before, 9 months before, 10 months before, and bringing it up in that performance review created like such a negative connotation around their performance. And they may have had a great performance in the previous 6 months, but harping on like the very big mistakes and whatnot, it threw off the entire theme or the feeling of how people left these performance reviews.
Yeah.
If you don't address it right then, why are you addressing it 9 months later if it was that big of a problem? And they switched to like spot. They do on the spot training. They do some quick monthly things, like kind of a checklist, and then they do quarterly as well, like a bigger one where you actually sit down, so that you always have that continuous feedback. And
yeah, I think it works. I mean, I'm all a proponent. I think the challenge that you find in healthcare, especially on the clinical side, is the span of control tends to be so big. Right. So a nurse manager might have 300 nurses rolling up across their department with all shifts, and there's no way they could personally have that touch with each person. And so, that makes healthcare have to think, what should that span of control look like? Is, again, more that's more the traditional setup, but maybe we have to think very differently about all that to implement that kind of continuous model.
Yeah.
One of the things you said made me think of something I do with my own team. So I'm a big proponent of tell your story, and I always have a sign on my desk that sits right in front of me that always be telling your story. And what I mean by that is, I think whether you're in talent acquisition or any profession, we do, most people do probably a terrible job of celebrating their wins, right? We just move on to the next thing, especially that's one thing with COVID, right? Is we need to stop and celebrate all the things we accomplished, because like we said, it was a banner year, but you're so quick to move on to the next thing. So I make sure I have on everybody's calendar that they have to submit what they consider their proudest moments or accomplishments, or just the things.
Great idea.
Every month, so on the first of every month, it's for the previous month. Send me the 2 things that you're most proud of that happened last month, and then I compile a whole story about it. And then I send it out to the entire HR department, because to me, it's great to let people know, not to brag, but just to say, hey, these are a lot of things that we got done, and people don't realize it. So I think, just making a point to share those things, and make it a point don't make it too hard on yourself. 1 or 2 things, and then by the end of the year, you have 12 if you still do the annual performance reviews.
Oh,
wow, that's a great idea. I love that.
Yeah. So in the comments, if you remember, and those of you just jumped in, Ann asked earlier, what would help you be more productive at home? What could your employer do for you that would help you to be that much more productive at home? We want to make sure we give her some good feedback. So those of you who haven't answered, go ahead and pipe in with an answer to that question.
Or if there's something that your employer could give you, whether it's, I need two computers instead of 1, or two screens, or I need a soft phone on my, I just would love to know some of the things, because we're trying to think about all the things we could do, and of course, within reason. But what is it that people really need to make them better?
So are you saying that perhaps a Tesla X is a little bit too much to ask if I needed to have a Tesla X at home?
Well, my argument would be, Rollins, that has a nice computer right in the middle of it.
Yeah, see,
So,
that's
I
a
mean, I
screen.
could just, if you don't have an office, maybe
I
a
love
Tesla with that computer screen right there would be the place you could go escape to.
Yes.
I got a green screen and lighting. I didn't know a Tesla was on the table. Wow. That would have been perfect.
Okay, so I want to give away another book. So we're going to give away another book, guys. This time we're going to do a trivia question. So here's my trivia question for you, and then Ann, you can answer and let me know what you think, and then Leah, you can give a guess, and then we'll see what the audience has to say.
Okay.
So, which singer shocked the reality TV world with a surprise appearance on season 32 Survivor finale, in which she awarded a contestant $100,000? What singer was that? I don't know. I never watched Survivor, so I have no idea who this was.
Yeah, I don't watch Survivor either. What singer? I would think it has to be somebody pretty
Like super big,
like
right?
I'm going to go with oh, now I can't. Lady Gaga.
Lady Gaga. That's a great guess. That's a great guess. I wonder if that's the answer. Guys, what do you guys think? Do you think she's right? The first one who gives me the right answer, please don't Google, guys. Let's make it fair. Don't Google. Just know off the top of your head. Now, Leah, what do you think? What's your guess?
It's got to be somebody like Lady Gaga, maybe like Katy Perry.
That's another great guess. I like that one. That's a great guess too. So we'll see if that's right or not, guys. In the comments, which singer do you think it was that gave out the $100,000? Lelena Patassel. She says, "Yay, Ann Miller, miss you."
Oh, Leilani. Hey, Leilani.
Thank you. Okay, I didn't say that right. Okay. Leilani.
Yes.
Welcome, Leilani. Patty says she'd rather shiver when she's hot. I don't like to sweat. Hey, I understand.
Yeah. And does she live in Houston?
She lives in Alabama.
Oh,
It gets hot in Alabama too, though. So yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Philippia says Philippia gave you the applause, Ann. She really loves something you said here just a few moments ago.
Oh, what is it? I'll say it again.
Yeah, well, she wants to know what is it. Tell us what is it, Philippia, so she'll say it again. I think it's about that thing when you ask people to share their story. I think that was inspiring.
I really love that. Yeah, I mean, I think it's a great idea. And then at the end of the year, being able to look back and see 12 big wins you had, no matter if it's a year like 2020 or, if you're having a tough time, I love that idea.
So Holly says, I could be more productive if meetings are canceled more than 24 hours in advance.
Oh,
that's a good one. Because I've had some cancellations literally as the time is about to start. Oh, I'm sorry. Can't make it today. Can we move that back? Can we push it back? It's like, yeah, we can.
Right.
Well, that's another pointer, I think, for me, for all of us who are constantly just finding ourselves being pulled in, is make sure, with October around the corner, now's a great time to go into your calendar for October and really look at your days where you have no meetings or have a section of time where you can say from 1 to 4, I'm off.
Yes.
Like I just put it on my calendar as focus time.
Yeah.
And just so people can't block my time, I think you have to be proactive in going into your calendar and blocking time to get chunks of work done.
Yes.
Otherwise, it does get taken away from you.
I've started doing something similar, and I like the idea of putting focus time on there because I've been breaking up smaller tasks. But if it's not the priority, then if somebody needs to call me and stuff, I take it. But if I put focus time, I think I like that idea. I'm definitely going to try it.
Yeah.
We got some guesses here, so because I want to give away this book here. So we have someone who said Beyonce. Joe says Beyonce. By the way, Patty says, and having a large monitor to hook up to my laptop is necessary. Also, a reimbursement for my phone and internet, not necessarily the full amount, but a set amount for each. That's a good idea. I like that one.
Yep.
And I agree with her. I had to go out and buy myself a big monitor because I could not do the laptop anymore.
Yes, absolutely. Patty thinks it might be Bruno Mars. And let's see here. Holly says, I'll vote for Katy Perry. Philippia says Christina Aguilar. I have no idea. Okay. So the answer, guys, is Sia. Sia was the singer.
Like SIA, Sia?
SIA, yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
She was the singer that gave it away. So we got to find another way to give out a book. Okay. Here's what we'll do. because I want to give out this book. All right. So what we'll do is we'll do another word. Okay. So what I want you to do is type in the comments. It's going to be hard, guys. It's not going to be easy. It's remote. REMOTE. Go. Now, I want to be respectful of your time, Ann, because I know we're coming up at the 3 o'clock mark. Any parting words that you want to give us, encouragement on what we should do now to help keep things positive as we go through this COVID here?
Well, I think anything's possible. So I'd say keep pushing the envelope to challenging status quo, and ask yourself why. Ask your organization why. I think I went to a presentation one time, and I try to follow this, is don't make yourself a to-do list. Just make yourself one thing that will make you successful today. One thing that will make you successful today. And that, whatever that is, it could be, whatever you do, filling a position, getting a submission, getting a presentation done, but don't think of everything as a to-do list. Think of that the things that are going to be the things that really make you successful. And I'm just going to go back to tell you a story. I just think that is an opportunity for, I think people expect, especially I'll say as a leader, I think sometimes staff expect you to know everything that's happening, and maybe are sometimes disappointed when you don't recognize them for something they did. But the reality is, often it didn't make my radar screen. And so there's nothing wrong with saying to your leader, hey, I accomplished this, or I had a great week this week and I got these 3 things done. I think make sure you go out and tell your story, and draw the attention to yourself where you feel it's deserving.
Oh, I love that. Okay, that deserves this. I love it.
I'm going to share it with Catalina.
and Catalina. Yes.
Who got you that app, or how did you figure it out?
It's just something I figured out I could do on this thing. I got this other one. This is one I really like. Okay, watch this one. Wait.
What was that?
It's supposed to.
It sounded the same.
Oh, there we go. See it? So everybody's clapping as he walks in. That's Ann when she walks in the office, right?
Oh, okay. So it's the people. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
I only see you and Leah, so I can't see all these things.
Oh, that's
but,
right. Okay. On the
Right.
replay. And
That's okay. I'll have to go back and listen to it.
Speaking of the
thank you.
replay, guys,
Yes.
when you're watching the replay, go ahead and answer Ann's question, because I want to give her lots of ideas from this comment section. When you watch the replay, please do that. And Ann, we really want to thank you for your time. You've been awesome today. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. All right. Well, you guys have a great day.
All right, appreciate it.
Thank you,
Okay, everybody.
Have a good one.
Stay safe. Thank you.
Bye.
Okay, and the rest of you
Bye.
guys, thank you. Rest of you guys can stay on for a second. We're going to go ahead and announce the winner of the contest here. And let's see, who was the winner? That was Patty Witt. Congratulations to Patty Witt. We're going to give her a round of applause too. Very good. So she won the last book of the day. Awesome. Well, we definitely want to thank Ann for coming on today. We really appreciate her. If you can, give her some love by showing in the comments what you appreciated about what you saw today, what you heard today from Ann. What point stuck out for you? What point stuck out for you, Leah, as we close up?
All of her insight on how she's able to connect with employees during this remote time, and knowing that it's hard for everyone, I think, but still making those connections with her employees, with the full HR team, and then taking ideas from other places. She said that she shared a letter from another organization, and I think that a lot of times we don't do that. We try to come up with everything on our own, and I think that right now, whatever works is what is going to work for us.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Well, guys, thank you for coming on today. We really appreciate you. Thanks for participating. We love all your participation. Again, if you're watching the replay, go ahead and put in the comments your answers as well, because we will be looking at this later. And feel free and reach out to Ann to thank her for her time as well. So have a great rest of the day, and we hope to see you tomorrow. We're going to be live tomorrow. We have a great session tomorrow. We have an interview expert. She's a pro, 20 years pro in how to be interviewed when you're being interviewed by the media. I think there's going to be some great concepts for just any of us who want to learn how to be interviewed in general. And then also some tips for interviewers. So if you're running a podcast or some type of show, ways you can interview others more effectively. So, and I would imagine for job interviews too.
Yeah. Sounds
right.
wonderful. Thank you so much, Rellis. Have a great day, everyone.
All right. Bye, everyone. Okay. Pause for
Bye-bye.
just a second here, Leo. I just stopped the recording, and I'm about to stop the... And put in the comments your answers as well, because we will be looking at this later. And feel free and reach out to Ann to thank her for her time as well. So have a great rest of the day, and we hope to see you